What's happening, guys? It's Alex and
Duncan.
And we're doing the first episode of the CounterPunch after the UFC pay-per-view on Saturday, or if you're in the UK, it was on Sunday. UFC 244. So we're going to start off with the card, every fight, and we're going to review it and give a star rating at the end. So first one was Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie, undefeated Gillespie. What did you think of the fight?
Oh yeah, it was quite short and sweet. Kevin Lee was obviously the better man. He obviously
he led.
Him up, yeah.
He led with the right at the start. And I remember we were saying that he looked a bit rusty at the start. He wasn't landing the shots, but you always knew he had it in his locker.
Yeah, he did. Gillespie seemed on top with the jabs and obviously taking control of the fight to start. But I mean, Kevin Lee obviously decided he wanted to knock him out.
He wanted to fuck him up at the end.
Gillespie did.
He started the fight
off well, but Kevin Lee obviously upped his game.
And I think just with the knockout kick, it was beautiful. We watched it loads of times. It was like a Muay Thai kick.
It was very Muay Thai. Very, very well done. The kick, very well executed.
Up and down
quickly. Just very quick, sharp, and
It was vintage Kevin Lee.
It was a powerful, quick, and Gillespie didn't see it coming.
And I thought overall that fight was good, short and sweet, good start of the card. Round one knockout, 2 minutes.
Nice little taster to start the.
And what would you review, say, out of 5?
Oh well, I do like my knockouts. I do enjoy watching those fights.
Yeah.
More than any of them, like most people. So I think I would give it a 4.
4. I'd say a 3.5 purely because it started quite slow.
Yeah.
But it was a good knockout.
I get that, yeah.
Next, we'll go for the heavyweight fight. So it was Derek Lewis versus Blagoy Ivanov. It was a points decision. Derek Lewis, he edged the fight. One of the judges scored it 30-27, so that's how he won it more convincingly. Yeah. Just my comments. I don't have too much to say about the fight apart from Ivanov. I was quite impressed. He used the clinch well because he knew he couldn't compete with Lewis with the striking.
His power and
only problem was it was on the feet too long, and I felt that's what won it for Lewis.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much the opposite fight to Lee versus Gillespie. It was a long, hard fight for both of the men. The clinch, obviously, as you said, it was good for Ivanov, who used the clinch well, but I think Derek Lewis was too powerful, and he has that knockout potential, but I think he dominated it in the stand-up. And his stand-up game was too good for.
Yeah, it was too strong.
Ivanov to cope with.
I felt like it was a good change of pace, but overall, I'd say I'd probably score it about 2.5, only because I felt like the time the clinch wasn't too exhilarating. It wasn't like a good clinch.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slog for a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, for me, I enjoy the fights which are nice. I mean, everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
Some people enjoy the clinches and the wrestling part, but I prefer the stand-up.
Yeah, the big fuck
the big
knockouts.
Massive knockouts, yeah.
So would you score it?
Probably about, like 2.5 to 3. It was a good fight, but it's not my cup of tea, really.
Okay, and then the next fight we have is Stephen Thompson defeating, on points again, Vicente Luque. We watched this fight, and I remember it was just Thompson for me. He was just picking him apart.
He as I was saying earlier, Alex, Stephen Thompson's movement, and he kept his distance and then moved in and he dominated the fight, dictated what was happening, and I think he was obviously the better man and deserved that win by a long mile. Luque just didn't.
He didn't impress. But what do you think about Luque in the fight? Like, obviously, he's only lost one fight.
Overall, he's a bit. Obviously, he's undefeated, but I just don't think he's
going into the fight. Obviously,
going into the fight, he was. But I don't think he's that top tier of fighter. But Stephen Thompson has that knockout potential. He's quick. He's got great movement, footwork, and that's what I look for in a fighter. So I look forward to seeing his future fights.
Yeah, for me, definitely. If you see his stance is one of my favourite. It reminds me of McGregor. A lot of McGregor. Some McGregor purists might disagree with me.
I am a McGregor purist.
Yeah, one thing you'll learn. But
I'm very influenced by that. But even I thought that is the movement and the wide stance and the angles. There was at one point in the fight, in the later rounds, I think it was, where he went for a backhand right, and he moved away to the side.
Oh yeah,
And it was so well executed that it was just that movement. And I think Luke Hayes is a very one-dimensional fighter.
He was.
He moves in one way, and I just don't think he had the right style.
I felt like it was kind of a master class of just clever striking. He rocked him, but he didn't do enough to get the KO. He's an
intelligent fighter. He knows what to...
As I said, 2 more rounds, I reckon Luke Hayes is going to get KO'd. But it was really smart fighting for Thompson. Comfortably wins. I felt like the judges' decisions were a bit kind to Luke Hayes, 30-26, maybe slightly kind. But again, Luke Hayes, he's not a bad fighter, but he's just not elite tier for me, and that's why I think he lost this fight.
I think he's one of those... he's not average, I don't want to say, but he's not top tier amongst the top fighters.
And I'd say one of my favourite kicks was the one where he led to go for the axe kick, and then he nearly got him. He went for the body kick, and he nearly clipped him. It just clipped his chin.
Yeah.
And then that was after a clever movement, and he striked him, and I felt like he could have really gone in for him then, but that was a really clever bit of movement. It was like stand and bang.
Yeah.
Stephen Thompson's stand and bang is elite.
Very good.
It's just... he cannot compete with some of the fighters in the grapple, and I feel like if he's in a clinch, he is in trouble. But he was lucky.
He's got the movement to avoid that, though. So fighters have different bits of what they like to do, what they like to avoid.
Definitely.
And his movement is something he can definitely use.
He could avoid it, but I feel like if he comes up against someone elite, like a Nurmagomedov or someone, he's not gonna do it. But one funny thing,
someone who can close the distance that he generates, because he gives himself a lot of space to do what he likes. Someone like Khabib, Nurmagomedov is just incredible at wrestling and taking away that wrestling that space you have. What he did to McGregor had no space to do anything. He was constantly up on him.
Khabib's just a different animal.
He's a different beast, honestly.
One thing that made me laugh, that I just want to comment before we move on to the next one, is Luke Hay, the kick that he tried at the end. I feel bad for laughing, because obviously he went for it, but he was so drained that
I don't understand what his thought process was to try a spinning back kick, spinning heel kick, when he was so tired.
We were dying of that.
It wasn't good.
It was hard to watch there.
He didn't come out of it looking...
But again, I'd review it, I'd probably say a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Thompson really put on a show there.
It was good. It was a good fight. I found it entertaining. It was a great one to watch.
What would you be scoring it then?
Again, probably a 3.9, 4. Ooh, maybe higher actually. I think maybe a 4.4.
4.4. I'd say 4.
I've gone up dramatically from here, but thinking of the fight, I think it was a good...
Only reason I wouldn't give it more than 4 is Luke Hay didn't really demonstrate anything. That's the
best fighter when both fighters
are competing.
And see, for me, normally 4.5 and over fights are when both fighters bring it. When both fighters, like McGregor Diaz 2, when both fighters brought their best and they both fight the dog fights. Like, it's...
But I'd say for the next one, we'll go with, obviously, not the main event, Darren Till versus Kevin Gastelum. I would say with this fight, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, Till, fellow Englishman, he's a Scouser, but we still take ownership of him. But anyway, I'd say for this fight, the judges, which judge decided to go 30-27 Gastelum? Can I find who that was? We need to find this guy.
Comment on the fight. Give us your thoughts. I'll search that now.
Please tell us if we don't manage to find it, because Gastelum, he was sort of impressive, as in like he was always moving forward, he was always going aggressive.
That's the only way he was.
It was one-dimensional. He's one of those fighters. He's not. His rotation in the cage isn't clever.
Non-existent.
He doesn't have any. Basically,
Till used that.
Till, I was impressive because after Till came off 2 big defeats, Masvidal knocked him out in his home country, and Woodley submitted him. So I felt like he had to bounce back. But Till was incredibly impressive.
So
who was it?
Just a quick comment on what we were saying. So Dave Torelli, who scored it 30-27.
Absolutely disgraceful.
Other people can... on this website you can
You can have a look at all of the people who
other
scored
people
it.
can score it.
We'll put our scorecards maybe like in the description.
Yeah.
We could put it there
So
you can see what we thought in detail. But I would say about this Till fight, my highlights for this one was when he caught the leg kicks and then took him down. He didn't do anything.
First leg kick was a
caught
classic.
for the
and then tried
right.
to hit that right, and then the second one he caught,
just took him to the ground.
He pushed it upwards and took him to the ground, which was a wise decision, I think.
Yeah, so that's what impressed me.
I think because the first time when he caught it, nothing much came of it. So I think he wanted to make some good impact on him.
So yeah, that's really what I've got to comment about. Like he won on points. I felt like he grew in confidence as the fight went on.
Definitely.
Didn't see too much from Gastelum, but again, like he wasn't awful. He just didn't really show me much.
Obviously, he's not a bad fighter.
No, he's not.
None of the. I may be slagging them off, but no one will be a bad fighter on any of these cards because in order for them to be there, they must be good.
But I'd score this. I'd say about 4.5. I'd
4.5.
say I really did. I was impressed by it purely because it was a fight that not much of the fight felt rusty at all. It was like purposeful most of the fight.
Yeah, I think maybe for me a 3.8. It wasn't the most exciting. The only thing that really gave me
like a buzz
excitement
in the fight,
for the fight is Darren Till.
Yeah.
And the way he fought.
To be fair, I'm being a bit generous, I feel. I'd say 4.2.
Yeah.
Only because the reason I liked it is it was more even than the Thompson-Luque fight, I felt.
That's probably why I enjoyed that one
3.8 is what you'd score it. So this is the big one, the main event.
There we go, yeah.
Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. Very controversial. It was stopped in the third round. It was a TKO.
What do you think about that? That decision from the medical?
I felt that was... It wasn't necessary. Like, you've seen him before keep going. Like, it's not as if he was really bleeding badly. It was a bad cut, don't get me wrong, but we've seen worse. And I feel like Diaz would have fought through it. Maybe not won. If it went to points, he definitely wouldn't have won because the judges had already scored 3 rounds to Masvidal, so he was probably going to lose. But Diaz would have had more pride coming out of the fight.
And definitely, I can't. This is all hypothetical for me because we don't know how it would have gone. But Diaz, as we've seen in the past, he gets better. He's like a fine wine. He gets better with as the.
That's good analogy. I rate that.
Because we've seen he's a triathlon runner. And swimmer. He's very fit. He's got the gas tank of like anyone I've ever seen fight. He, especially the 4th and 5th round, which I think is why is a bit frustrating for me personally that it got called. Because I think he would have gone on from there to fight even better.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. And again on Masvidal, I'd say I was impressed by him. He caught him in the clinch a few times with some elbows. When he got him down, he was relentless. So when he knocked him down first, I thought, God, Nate's in trouble because Masvidal, he's not one of those fighters like Gabran who leave someone. If he knocks them, he'll get on the ground. He's good in kind of a grappling situation. Not amazing, but he had the better of Diaz, I reckon. Diaz was doing well. He was holding his own. Like he was throwing his own punches. But you could see, I think Masvidal was getting the better of him. But we can't really talk too in depth about this fight because it felt unfinished. I feel like we need to see the second.
There's more to see. But actually, did you see the tweet that Nate Diaz put out last night?
Let's have a look at this.
Well, I just wanted to. I wanted to just say about the stoppage of it and things.
Yeah, the stoppage. I think personally, I wasn't a fan of it. I don't know about you, but
I think it was definitely unfinished, and we've seen, as I've already said, Diaz.
This tweet.
Here's the tweet.
So the new fight.
Obviously, if you're listening, you can't see, but Nate Diaz last night tweeted, "Fuck a rematch. This shit was over before it started. Going out on tour. Peace out, fight game."
Disappointing for me. Very disappointing.
Has Nate Diaz announced his retirement?
But I feel like he shouldn't be doing it, but if he does, fair enough. He's had a good career.
He had his great career. Anyone who's been watching him for the past years is obviously appreciate it. I definitely appreciate him as a fighter, and those 2 fights against McGregor will honestly be my favourites.
The one where he locked in... Obviously, I'm a McGregor fan, but when he locked in that rear naked choke, I was like, this guy is a dog.
It's the same for when Khabib fought Dustin Poirier,
It was.
and he had him behind him, and then he pulled him up, and as soon as you saw the hand,
chin was
you
exposed.
saw the chin up,
It
and
was,
I said that I was watching it with Alfie, our friend, and I said it's over. That's it. That's the one.
That was very impressive.
So
but I'd say if we're gonna score this fight, I'd probably say a 4, purely because the 3 rounds we watched were 3 entertaining rounds. They weren't bad.
It was an entertaining round. Actually, that's what I wanted to say. Previously, when I first watched the fight, I thought that the 2 severe cuts to Diaz's eye, I thought they were from the clinch in the second round. The clinch elbows.
Yeah, they weren't.
But actually, it was from the first round when we rewatched it.
Yeah, because he got.
It was from the first round. That's when he got cut.
So yeah, you score it.
I'd probably score it a good 4.4. And I really enjoyed the rounds, but I think it's unfinished. I reckon it could be much higher if it got finished.
Yeah, definitely. If it went the distance, I'd say it could even go as a 5.
And that's what I think is unfortunate. Obviously, the medics will do what they think is best for the fighter. But Diaz wanted a fight on, so if he says, I don't think Diaz, who he is, will ever be like, no, I can't fight anymore. He will want to carry on, but I wanted to see what he could do. Maybe that was his game plan, to get his face smashed up in the first few rounds.
Maybe, but again, as a whole, what would you score the pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view, it was an enjoyable event. Probably a 4.5 overall.
I'd score it about a 4.2, 4.5 territory if we're going 5 rounds with Diaz, Masvidal.
Definitely a 4.5.
But overall, very enjoyable.
Very enjoyable card. Some good little scraps there. Nice taste.
Solid.
To start with,
Kevin Lee,
and then the Darren Till. I think overall,
very good.
There were some good fights, some good performances from fighters. But some of the best cards for me is where there are multiple fights where both fighters bring their best
A game, and that wasn't quite present. That's what stopped it from being an elite level pay-per-view.
It was a one-sided event, in my opinion.
Definitely.
I think a lot of the fights went one way and an obvious decision to one fighter, as we've concluded.
But I'd say, wrapping this up, thank you very much for listening to the first episode, first of many. And in fact, we're going to be bringing you next week KSI versus Logan Paul. This is a one-off. We only usually do proper fights, but we will be bringing this to you.
I'll give my opinion on this because at first and still now I'm sceptical of it. I think it's a bit embarrassing for the boxing industry. But we were going to give our thoughts now, but we'll save that till next week.
Yeah, next time.
When we review the fight. It was a press conference last night, which was entertaining. Some crosswords between the KSI trainer
Shannon Briggs and Vidal Riley.
Shannon the Cannon Briggs, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Some words exchanged between the two. So that will be entertaining.
That'll be entertaining. I'm really looking forward to it. As much as I don't think it will be a very elite, it won't be an elite fight. I'm looking forward to it. And our review will be banging, I can tell you that right now.
It will be an entertaining review. I think the fight, I am personally
hyped.
I'm hyped for it, I'm emotionally invested in it. I'm excited to see what the two fighters can bring.
Yeah, so we'll give our opinion to you guys, and then the next UFC pay-per-view, obviously, we'll review that. But I hope you've enjoyed. I've been Alex.
I'm Duncan.
And I hope you've enjoyed.
McGregor review at the if it goes through.
Yeah, we hope.
Could be reviewing McGregor's comeback after.
Well, pray for the McGregor match. I want everyone to comment that down below. So, thank you for listening, and goodbye.
See you later.